Shri Advaita Gadadhara Vasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We'll continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 26, Text 39. Dravyakrititvam gunnata vyakti samsthatavam evacha tejastvam tejasah sadhavi rupa matrasya vrittayah. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear mother, the characteristics of form are understood by dimension, quality, and individuality. The form of fire is appreciated by its effulgence. So yesterday we stopped at the point where fire was formed, created from air. So every form that we appreciate has its particular dimensions and characteristics. The quality of a particular object is appreciated by its utility, but the form of sound is independent. Forms which are invisible can be understood only by touch. That is the independent appreciation of invisible form. Visible forms are understood by analytical study of their constitution. The constitution of a certain object is appreciated by its internal action. For example, the form of salt is appreciated by the interaction of salty tastes, and the form of sugar is appreciated by the interaction of sweet tastes. Tastes and qualitative constitution are the basic principles in understanding the form of an object. So form has a particular dimension and quality and individuality, and that's how we see any particular object. Anything that we see has its own shape, and the quality of it is appreciated by the utility. Quality of a particular object is appreciated by its utility. It's true. I mean, we always think, oh, what use is this particular thing for us? We have some examples here that salt, for the salty taste, sugar is sugar taste. So the taste and qualitative constitution are basic principles in understanding the form of an object. So the quality of some particular object, and of course, certain objects are understood by the taste. Yeah, so salt is understood by its taste, and so is sugar. And so we are always looking at particular objects and what utility is there in that object. We appreciate that object based on the utility. Something is useless, we say it's useless, I don't want it, right? And so there is independent appreciation of invisible forms. So there are forms which are invisible also. We may think I'm so great. There's form only which I can see. No. There are many forms which we cannot see. For example, these bacteria which are flying around us, we can't see it. But if we bring the what do you say, the microscope, which is suitable enough to see it, we will be able to see it. So when we say invisible, it may be invisible to a particular situation, also. So is that okay? Did anyone want to add anything?
No, it's okay. It's fine.
So then what characteristics they are telling us, the characteristics of
form,
like
characteristics of form,
because the fire has a form, is it? No,
that's right. Yes, right? Fire has a form. Yes. So now, because we had ether, right? So from ether there was only sound, then we had air, and from air is only touch, and now we are getting fire, and fire has sound, touch, and form.
Okay.
So air
that's
has
why they are
sound
discussing
and touch.
Okay. So that's why they're discussing the qualities of the form, that what form is like it is. Is it?
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
we can see, so detailed everything is given. We are being trying to understand about sound. Then we were trying to understand about taste, now about form. Dyotanam pachanam panam adanam hima mardanam tejaso vrittayastva etaha shoshanam shutkrit evacha. Fire is appreciated by its light and by its ability to cook, to digest, to destroy cold, to evaporate, and to give rise to hunger, thirst, eating, and drinking. The first symptoms of fire are distribution of light and heat, and the existence of fire is also perceived in the stomach. So light and heat, we understand fire is there, and also we have fire of digestion in the stomach. Krishna says he is the fire of digestion in our stomach. So without this fire of digestion, we will not be able to digest anything. We won't be able to get nutrition over the body. So we can see how we think we are independent, but how we are totally dependent actually on Krishna. Without fire, we cannot digest what we eat. Without digestion, there is no hunger and thirst or power to eat and drink. When there is insufficient hunger and thirst, it is understood that there is a shortage of fire within the stomach, and the Ayurvedic treatment is performed in connection with the fire element, Agni Mandayam. Since fire is increased by the secretion of bile, the treatment is to increase bile secretion. The Ayurvedic treatment thus corroborates the statements in Srimad Bhagavatam. The characteristic of fire in subduing the influence of cold is known to everyone. Severe cold can always be counteracted by fire. So these are some of the qualities of fire that we are hearing. To help us digest, light, heat, help us to protect us against cold, evaporate also, sun evaporates the water. Ability to cook, give rise to hunger, thirst, eating, and drinking. Rupa matrad vikurvanat tejaso deva choditat rasa matram abhuttasmad ambo jiva rasa graha. By the interaction of fire and the visual sensation, the subtle element taste evolves under a superior arrangement. From taste, water is produced, and the tongue, which perceives taste, is also manifested. So we already saw ether was created, air was created, and fire was created. And now fire, because fire and the eyes were created with fire, forms were created with fire. And now with this interaction of fire and the form and the sight, now taste is created. And taste is created. So we have water is created, the element water, and also tongue is perceived. The tongue is described here as the instrument for acquiring knowledge of taste. Because taste is a product of water, there's always saliva on the tongue. So water is the fourth element. And so water has sound. We can hear water, the movement of water, we can hear. Touch, we can feel water. We can see water. And we can also taste water. Someone will say, water is tasteless. Krishna says, I'm the taste of water. So water has its own particular taste. And then because of, then with water, tongue is also produced with which we can taste. So we can see how the sense object and the element are being created simultaneously, the corresponding element. Kashayo madhurastiktaha katva amla itinay kadha bhavati kanam vikarina rasa eko vibhidyate. Although originally one, taste becomes manifold as astringent, bitter, sweet, pungent, sour, and salty due to contact with other substances. So it seems taste is one, but then it manifests differently as it comes in contact with different substances. Salts, sugar, pungent, sour, lemon, chili. Yeah. Okay. Kledanam pindanam triptihi prana napya yanondanam tapapanodo bhuyastvam ambhaso vrittayastva imaha. The characteristics of water are exhibited by its moistening other substances, coagulating various mixtures, causing satisfaction, maintaining life, softening things, driving away heat, incessantly supplying itself to reservoirs of water, and refreshing by slaking thirst. Starvation can be mitigated by drinking water. It is sometimes found that if a person who has taken a vow to fast takes a little water at intervals, the exhaustion of fasting is at once mitigated. In the Vedas, it is also stated, Apo mayaha pranaha, life depends on water. With water, anything can be moistened or dampened. So here we are understanding the characteristics of water. Helps us to moisten things, helps us to dampen things, sustains our life, because our body is also, a lot of our body is made up of water. So flour dough can be prepared with a mixture of water. Mud is made by mixing earth with water. As stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, water is the cementing ingredient of different material elements. So by water, we can bind different elements together. If we build a house, water is actually the constituent in making the bricks. Fire, water, and air are the exchanging elements for the entire material manifestation, but water is most prominent. Also, excessive heat can be reduced simply by pouring water on the heated field. So we are trying to understand that water really plays a big part. Rasamatra vikurvanad ambaso deva choditad gandha matram abhuttasmat prithvi graha nastu gandagaha. Due to the interaction of water with the taste perception, the subtle element odor evolves under superior arrangement. Thence the earth and the olfactory sense by which one can variously experience the aroma of the earth become manifest. So now we had water, and with that came taste. Now, from this taste comes, water with taste, yes, that's right. And then now comes smell, fragrance. And then with that, earth is created, the element earth, and also the nose, olfactory sense. And that's how the fragrance of the earth. Krishna also says, I'm the fragrance of the earth. He says, I'm the sound in ether. I'm the taste in water. I'm the life air. And then, right? Yeah, he says this. And he also says, I'm the fire of digestion. So we can see how these elements are also Krishna. Karamba puti saurabhya shanto gram la dibihi prathak dravya vayava veshamya ganda eko vibhidyate. Odor, all the one, becomes many as mixed, offensive, fragrant, mild, strong, acidic, and so on, according to the proportions of associated substances. Again, fragrance is one, but depending on what substance, again, it becomes manifest as different. Mixed smell is sometimes perceived in foodstuffs prepared from various ingredients, such as vegetables, mixed with different kinds of spices and asafoetida. Bad odors are perceived in filthy places. Good smells are perceived from camphor, menthol, and similar other products. Pungent smells are perceived from garlic and onions, and acidic smells are perceived from turmeric and similar sour substances. The original aroma is the odor emanating from the earth. And when it is mixed with different substances, this odor appears in different ways. So because the earth element has this odor, and then that's how there is fragrance. And of course, fragrance is differently manifested in different substances, but the original fragrance is there in the earth. Like the original taste is there in water, although taste can be manifested differently. The original form is there in the fire, but then based on different objects, forms is perceived differently. So the original touch is there in the air, and the original sound is in the ether sky. Bhavanam brahmanasthanam dharanam sadvisheshanam sarva sattva guno vedaha prithvi vritti lakshanam. The characteristics of the functions of earth can be perceived by modeling forms of the Supreme Brahman, by constructing places of residence, by preparing pots to contain water, etc. In other words, the earth is the place of sustenance for all elements. Different elements such as sound, sky, air, fire, and water can be perceived in the earth. So earth includes all of them. So the more gross the element is, it has the characteristics of the previous element. So the earth is the most grossest. So so all this can be perceived in earth: the water element, fire, air, sky, sound, everything can be perceived in earth. Another feature of the earth especially mentioned here is that earth can manifest different forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By this statement of Kapila's, it is confirmed that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahman, has innumerable forms which are described in the scriptures. By manipulation of earth and its products, such as stone, wood, and jewels, these forms of the Supreme Lord can be present before our eyes. So the Supreme Brahman has a form which is mentioned in the scriptures. There is a special scriptures which is called the Shilpa Shastra, and the deities are sculpted, they're carved according to the scriptures. Not that, oh, I can imagine, oh, the deity should look like this. No, there is scriptures. And then the sculptor, based on the scriptures, he sculpts the deity. It could be of wood, stone, jewels, When a form of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu is manifested by presentation of a statue made of earth, it is not imaginary. The earth gives shape to the Lord's forms as described in the scriptures. So here, Lord Kapila Dev is also saying it's not imaginary. It is very much the Lord himself. It's just because our mind, our eyes, we are just too attached to matter, so we are not able to understand, oh, this is the Lord himself. But the pure devotees, they can understand, oh, this is Krishna himself. In the Brahma Samhita, there's a description of Lord Krishna's lands, and the variegatedness of the spiritual abode, and the forms of the Lord playing a flute with his spiritual body. All these forms are described in the scriptures, and when they are thus presented, they become worshipable. They are not imaginary, as the Mayavad philosophy states. Sometimes the word bhavna is misinterpreted as imagination. But bhavna does not mean imagination. It means giving actual shape to the description of Vedic literature. So it is not an imagination. It is what is mentioned in the Vedas. The sculptor, the deity, the person who's sculpting the deity, he gives shape to the deity based on the scriptures. Earth is the ultimate transformation of all living entities and their respective modes of material nature. It's the ultimate transformation of all living entities and their respective modes of material nature.
So then the sculptor has to be well versed in the scriptures.
Oh
Then
yeah,
only
the
he can,
Shilpkar.
right?
Yeah, the
Ah,
Shilpkar, they have to be bona fide, authorized. You know,
that's
if you
what.
read how Lord Nishingadev deity was carved, there's a small book, Pankaj Angari Prabhu wrote it, and how they were really searching for the proper Shilpkar who can make the deity of Lord Nishingadev, you know. And yeah, it's not just anyone, or like how we think, oh, I imagine. Now the many people on internet also, they say, oh, Krishna should look like this. Doesn't look like Krishna at all. But just because they put a peacock feather, then, oh yeah, it's Krishna. No, it has to be, they are very, they have to be qualified. They have studied this, the scripture of how to carve the deity. Yeah.
I remember there is a market in Jaipur, and when I met few devotees, they said that they got their deities carved from Jaipur. Even Bhavnaji's daughter, she also said that she and her husband, they went to Jaipur specially on a trip to get their deity from there. And that's a whole market there. Like it's a
Yeah.
bazaar, and they just do all the Shilpkaris, just do the deity only.
Yeah, there
Nothing
is in
else.
Jaipur. That's right. Yes, yes, that's right. Yeah, that I think, yeah, many of the ISKCON deities also from there.
Yeah, even in IIT, no? Deities and all, they come from
From
Jaipur.
there.
Marble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
right. Okay, so you just can't get from anywhere like that. I mean, you should
Yeah,
know, right? Hmm.
yeah, we should know, get from the proper place. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Nabho guna visheshortho yasya tach Shrotram uchyate vayurguna visheshortho yasya tat sparshanam viduhu. The sense whose object of perception is sound is called the auditory sense, and that whose object of perception is touch is called the tactile sense. Sound is one of the qualifications of the sky and is the subject matter for hearing. Similarly, touch is the qualification of the air and is the subject of the touch sensation. So as we were saying, the characteristic or qualification. So sky has sound, and which is the object of the ears. And touch is the characteristic of the air, and which is the sense object of the skin, the tactile sense. Yeah.
What is tactile sense? Didn't get it.
Sense of touch. Sense
Oh.
of touch. Yeah.
Oh.
Tejogana visheshortho yasya takchakshur uchyate ambogana visheshortho yasya tad rasanam viduhu bhumer guna visheshortho yasya sa gharana uchyate. The sense whose object of perception is form. The distinctive characteristic of fire is the sense of sight. The sense whose object of perception is taste. The distinctive characteristic of water is known as the sense of taste. Finally, the sense whose object of perception is odor. The distinctive characteristic of earth is called the sense of smell. So, so the sense of whose object is perception is form. That's the eyes, right? That's the sense, right? Object of perception is form. So the eyes, they can, because of the eyes, form is perceived, and the characteristic is fire. So fire has form, and the eyes are able to see the form, because that's the sense of sight. So is the sense of sight. Okay. The sense whose object of perception is taste. The distinct. So the tongue, the characteristic is taste, and the element is water, right? And then finally it is the smell, the nose. Sense of smell is the nose. That's fragrance, and fragrance is the distinctive characteristic of earth. So this is how the 5 Pancha Mahabhutas, they say, right? How these elements are there, the sense objects are there, and the senses are there. Is that okay?
Can I?
Yeah.
So just for understanding this, so that means that the sense whose perception is form, that's eyes, and the element is fire, right?
That's right.
So from the
That's
fire
right.
element, it is coming. And then the sense whose perception is taste is tongue.
Yes.
And the element is water. Because, and how we can remember is because the saliva is the water, as they mentioned.
Yes. So the
Right?
object, yeah, the object is taste, water is the element, and the sense is the tongue.
Object is the taste.
Yeah, the sense object is the taste.
Yeah, object is taste.
The
and then tongue
element
is the
water, and tongue is the sense.
Sense. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sense is the tongue. Okay. So then the object is odor, and then the sense is smell, and then the element is earth. Right?
Yes, the sense is the nose.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes
Thank
sense.
you. Okay, so we'll stop here. It's getting late now. Sneha has to go. Sorry about that. Okay, thank you so much for listening in and joining in. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Lord Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.